Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another R2F show, R2F Ramadan. And Mubarak, can you open us up, please?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد قال الله تعالى بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اليوم أكملت اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأممتم عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم إسلام دينا. So Allah says that today I have perfected your religion for you and completed my blessing upon you and chosen Islam as your religion. And as we know, this famous ayah, Allah is saying that the religion is complete. What Allah legislated in a religion is complete and it's perfect. It's been perfected for us. And so within that perfection, within that legislation of the religion, Allah has also legislated our holidays, our holy days, the days in which we hold sacred and days in which we have a celebration in which there is a reward from Allah. So it's an act of ibadah. So any celebration that we have, any sort of festivals, especially if they are religious, if we have them, and they are not of the that has been legislated by Allah, there will be no reward for them. Allah will not reward you for it. And on top of that, there could possibly be a punishment. So that's something we have to keep in mind. So Allah has perfected the religion, and in that Rasulullah has said that we have two Eids, two holidays, Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. So this at the end of Ramadan, uh, is Eid al-Fitr, and we celebrate this holiday as a holy day. Holiday, they changed they kind of use a little slick wording to kind of like take away the fact that these are holy days to get everyone to kind of just celebrate them without really thinking about the holiness of it. So these are holy days for us. And so the the thing is we really have to take into account how we need to make sure that these are not just holy days just in speech but in action. We have to make them bigger and better than anyone else's holy days, especially for us and our children and our families. um, as a childhood friend of ours growing up, for those of us that know, they might get a kick out of this, but she was saying that we have to make it celebratory. Like she said, was saying this. She was giving a speech one day when we were kids, and she was saying this over and over again. And we made fun of her, but the thing is, she was correct. We have to make it that way. We can't look to other people and to other cultures or other religions or whatever to then bite off of. We have to make it big, make it important for ourselves. But the most important thing is the fact that we know and understand that Allah will reward us for celebrating and dressing up and making the Eid a big festival. This is rewardable for us for this Eid al Adha and for Eid al Fitr and Eid al Adha. Anything other than that, these days, whether it's going to be your the milad, your birthdays, your sheikh's birthdays, these random days that are not actually legislated in Islam for holidays and festivals, there's no reward in it for you as far as an act of ibadah, because all acts of ibadah are legislated. And if you're innovating in the religion, trying to add something to the religion, trying to get people to practice this thing every year as a part of the religion, then that is punishable for you. So let's make sure that we keep that in mind. Um, so that said, we can move on. But I think that was what I was going to mention in the beginning. Um, I'm sorry, I still can't. I should be bringing this up on my computer, but I can't figure out how to do it just
No,
yet. But
you're
I'm doing
good.
it
You're
from my
good.
phone. Yeah.
Yeah, just
So
to add on to that is we we are not supposed to imitate non-Muslims. However, we should look at how, for those of us that may have come from Christian backgrounds or that have celebrated Christmas, and we should create a bigger feeling, a bigger anticipation for our children than what we might have experienced in our history, or that we know. Like, it living in the West, you know when it's Christmas time. You know, right? There's it's the everything's set up that way. It's just the air even changes. People's attitude changes. We have to be the same way and better than that when it comes around to our Eids. The children, when they hear the word Eid, they should be happy, anticipating, waking up because they know that day is going to be special for them. So just we got to try our best to be better, and this kind of touches into one of the sunnahs of the Eid that we'll talk about later. Just to give um some advice, the next thing we want to talk about is the actual Fitrah tax, which is part of the sunnahs of obligatory sunnahs of Eid al-Fitr, that we have to pay a tax, and depending on where you live and what your masjid or your community decides, it's between $12 and $15. I will say that R2F, Alhamdulillah, we're a nonprofit organization that is qualified and does distribute Fitrah tax and zakat. So we are collecting Fitrah tax for everybody that's part of the R2F community. Um, Pay it early. It's best to pay it early because, and Mubarak can expound on this, but the purpose of the Fitrah tax is to help those in need that do not have the ability to provide this great, grandiose, celebratory event on the Eid because they're barely making ends meet. So everybody should be celebrating on the Eid, and this is what this Fitrah tax actually goes to. So, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of discussion you'll see online in different areas where, like, well, can you pay it before? Can you pay it ahead of time? Do you have to pay it the day of the Eid and these sorts of things? But to achieve the purpose of what the Fitrah tax is for, especially in our times where we can't just go to a poor person's house and give them food or whatever else, you want them to be able to prepare for the Eid as well, just like we are doing. We buy our food ahead of time. We buy our things, get things set up. People are cooking the night before and these types of things. So we encourage everybody, if you decide to pay your Fitrah tax to your local masjid or to whoever, if you're paying it to R2F, fine. Pay it as early as possible so these arrangements can be made.
Yeah. So, and just to um to add to that, and am I muted?
No, I can hear you. You're
Okay.
good. Yep.
Um, so to add to that is number one, who is the fifth tax obligated to pay? Who is obligated to pay the fifth tax? Okay, the tax is obligatory upon every living person, right? Every person, rich, poor. This is different than zakat al mal when you're just paying zakat on money. This is different. The fifth tax is every single person, rich, poor, whatever. There is that $12 to $15, whatever your location decides or has calculated. That is obligatory on every person, even the person who's homeless on the street. They have an obligation to pay it. Now, if they don't have the money, then clearly they can't. But the initial obligation is on every single solitary person to pay that. Now, who's responsible for the actual payment? The payment is responsible on the father or the head of the household or whoever's responsible to pay, for their dependents. So, for instance, the father would pay for everyone that he is responsible for, all of his wife or his wives, his children, if he is taking care of his parents, he has to pay for them. If he's taking care of his sisters, his siblings, everyone who is under his umbrella of responsibility that is dependent on him for their livelihood, their sustenance, he is responsible for paying that $12 to $15 per person, even the infant per person. So you have some people that have 9 or 10 children. That's going to be $150 for those 10 kids plus your 1 or 2 wives. Okay, so that's going to be another $30 or so. Then you're going to look at if you're taking care of your parents, all that. So all this has to be paid. So there's no so for those people who are heads of households, and the wives or the mothers or whatever can help remind and help your husband to make sure that everyone gets covered. So you have to make sure that every person has that money paid on their behalf. So that's one thing. The second thing is that when it should be paid, and the thing is what Jafar touched on, but the thing is that the Eid should be a happy time for every person. At that day, that should be the happiest day of the year. These 2 days, everybody should be. No one should be thinking or worrying about if they're going to eat or not. Right? So that's one thing. That's the reason why the the zakat is actually supposed to be food. It's given in staple foods, right? So at the very least, even the poorest person is going to have a staple, like something that is normally eaten in that country or in that area. They're going to have that food, and they're on that Eid day, they know they're going to have some food to eat. Their family and their children are going to be fed. And so a lot of times, we show up to the masjid day of Eid, and there's a box that's saying, "Oh, fitr tax," and they're collecting the fitr tax, and that this is not acceptable. This is the wrong way to do it, because if everyone pays on the day as they walk in to go make the Eid prayer, then what happens is the people without, the poor people, the people without money and resources and things like that, they're sitting there on Eid waiting and wondering. And so if they're even going to be able to feed themselves that day or whatever, and this is not right. The point of the money that we're collecting is to get the food, and so they will have it. Really, the day 2 or 3 days before Eid is good. Or if it needs to be done sooner than that, great. So they should be prepared in their Eid. They know they're going to have a good Eid because they've got their food. They're going to be well fed, or they're going to have that ability to be comfortable on that day and be happy on that day, instead of wondering where their next meal is going to come from. Other days are not like Eid days, so we need to make sure that that day is ready. So we have to prepare for them early. So that's the point of you paying it early. So today is what, the 26th or 25th day of Ramadan. So I would say if you have the means to pay it today, pay it today, pay it now. And for us, if we have the money, we should make sure that we are sending it out and getting it into the hands of those people who are going to get the food for those poor people that we are sending it to, so they can be ready, and they will know on the 28th or the 29th. They know I've got food. I'm going to make a nice, really good meal for my family and our Eid. At the very least, it's going to be one in which we're going to be satisfied, and nourished and feel good and happy. So that's the point. So let's not forget that. Go ahead and get the money out. Make sure no one is left out. If we will say, if you are a person who you do not and will not be able to pay the fitr tax for yourself or your family, then perhaps you are a person who would be eligible to receive the fitr tax. So even though the tax is applicable on every person, every individual, still you could be an individual that is going to receive some. So that's the thing. If you think you are in that category, I mean, that we have ways of letting us know. You can email us, or you can contact one of us in the various ways we can be contacted, and then we can put you in touch with the people who deal with that side of things, and to make sure there's there's a protocol there where we make sure that before we send any money out, that we make sure that those people are eligible to do our due diligence. And just any person that comes up and says, "Hey, we need some money," we're not just going to throw some money out there, but we have money, we have zakat money, we have fitr tax money that we are looking to disperse to the people who need it. So if you're one of those people, you can step up and let us know.
And real quick, I'm just going to show you guys, for everyone who wants to donate tonight as early as possible. Inshallah, before I get off of here, remind me, because I'm going to make sure I do mine before I forget. And we all should do that for all the people that is part of, especially the R2F chat that's going to donate their fitr. It's not really donate, but it's pay their fitr tax. I'm just going to share my screen real quick so you know where to go. You can always contact us individually. If you have our contact information, I just put up email R2F is one way to contact us. You can WhatsApp me or WhatsApp Mubarak or anybody else that you know that's in contact with R2F administrators. But you can go to our website, which is r2fitra.org. Again, that's r2fitra.org. Let's see if there's a better way to show this. I don't like that way. There we go. R2Fitra.org. And right at the top of the screen, there's a donate button. You can click on that. And there's two ways to donate. You could donate with PayPal, which is the preferable way. That way, there's no fees taken out for the service. Just put in the notes that it's your Fitrah tax. Okay, so we know exactly what it's going for, so we know how to segregate the money when we receive it. Or you can donate via Giveify, but they take like 3% of all things. So that if you're going to pay your Fitrah tax through the Giveify app, you actually have to do the calculation and pay the 3% so that you make sure you're paying the minimum amount. So I don't know exactly off the top of my head what 3% of
Yeah, so
$15
basically,
is.
if you're gonna pay $100, you need to pay $3, and actually it would be like $3.30 because on the $3, then there would be another 3%. So it's
Yeah.
like we got to find out a better way probably than the Givelify, but right now that's kind of where we
Yeah.
got set up.
Best way
So
is we have the PayPal, so just use PayPal. We recommend everybody
yeah,
use PayPal. The link's right there. When you click on the link, it'll take you right through. You might have to sign. You'll have to sign on through your PayPal thing, and you could pay the amount. You'd click on other for your specific amount of Fitrah, and then you put in the note that's for the Fitrah tax. That way, you don't have to do any calculations. You don't have to worry about any other fees being taken out. We get 100% of the money, and we can give it out to whatever. If people that don't have PayPal, email us, contact us. We can arrange for Cash App, Zelle, pretty much. We can make any arrangements for any type of way you have to make the payment. Just try to pay it as soon as possible, inshallah. Let's see the
and
next
and
topic. Oh, go
and,
ahead.
and we real quick, we prefer to uh give the to disperse the funds to people that are closest to us. So
Mm,
that's the preferred method. If we have people that are close, our neighbors, or neighbors of our friends, or neighbors of our family members, and people like that, that's our first option. Now,
yes,
there's always the option to send the money overseas and send the money to different places like that, where we know for sure there's definitely people that are very, very, very poor. But the first option, our first obligation, is to our neighbors, to people around us, or whatever. So I urge you again, if you are one of those people that you think you shouldn't have any. I mean, I'm sure there may be some shyness in this regard, but I'm saying this is something that there is according to Islam, we're trying to do it the correct way. So we need help in this matter, because we really don't like we don't know of, like, me personally, I don't know of anyone. I really don't know of anyone who is in the situation where they need it, either not saying anything or we don't know. So if anyone can help us to get the funds to the people who need it, please let us know, and we will
yes,
get it to them as soon as we can, so they can have the food and the things necessary. Otherwise, we'll have to look into getting it overseas to some other country, to them. But we have to do it pretty quickly. We have to do it within the next day or so,
yeah,
so that they can have it in time. We really want to get it done, and have the food in their hands by the 29th day at the latest. But really,
yeah,
28th or 27th would be good as well.
yeah. Speaking about odd numbered nights, it is the last 10 nights of Ramadan. I believe tonight will be the 26th night, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So
what I think so.
yeah, so we know about Laylatul Qadr. Inshallah, we've all had opportunities to do as many nights as we possibly could, to do as much ibadah in those nights as we could. But the 27th night is coming up, depending on when you started your fast. But I believe the 27th night will be Monday night. So really, really try to get it in. Again, Laylatul Qadr, we have the hadith scrolling at the bottom of the page, of the screen, that you can see that we get all of our previous and future sins forgiven. Or I believe this one says past sins. But either way, like, it's 80 something years of worship. Do as much as you can. And Mubarak, if you have anything to add on to that, to try to encourage people to do what they can on these last nights.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, if we think about it, it is if Laylatul Qadr is the 27th night, which it could have been last night, 23rd, or was that the 25th? I guess could have been
Mhm.
last night. We don't know. It could have been 2 nights before that. But for the most part, a lot of there's lots of I guess hopes at least that it's going to be on the 27th night. We got
Hmm.
either the 27th night or the 29th night. But if we're going to look at it and say, okay, if it's the 27th night falls on a Monday night, I believe.
Hmm.
Now, we have to ask ourselves, and I'm a person that works on Monday night. So we have to ask ourselves, is whatever you might get for working on that Tuesday, okay, whatever benefit you might get from working on that Tuesday. Now, listen, if a person knows that, hey, listen, if I take Tuesday off, I'm going to get fired, or if I take Tuesday off, my check is not going to be big enough to cover my rent or cover my expenses, and then I might be in the Fitrah tax situation to receive some, at the next Eid or something like that. So I'm not saying that a person should put themselves in a disadvantage, but if there was ever a day that you were going to take off of work, it probably would be Tuesday. And because you could possibly maximize that night. Now, if you can just go for, if not all night, then a significant portion of the night, and still go to work, then go ahead and go to work, do it. Or if you can do lots of ibadah and things while you're at work, if you work at night, then okay, do it. But if it's easy for you, or if you can do it, and if you can take off that next day, and you know that that night you're going to maximize your efforts, your energy, and you're going to try to hit the jackpot. You're going to try to hit the lottery, because that is a day in which it's going to be worth 83 years worth. So you're gonna I mean you might look at it and be like, wow, I went to work that day, and I got my usual salary or whatever, but I skipped Laylatul Qadr and missed out on 83 years worth of reward, because we can't see it with our eyes or touch it with our hands or taste it with our tongues. It's hard to really put it in a high priority, I think. But I would say that at the very least, try to go all out for this night, to 27th. Try to get your game plan ready and take advantage of it as best you can. If you can take off, go ahead. Or if you can, move some things around, or at least, maybe you'll be really sleepy, really tired, and have a horrible day at work on Tuesday. But wallahi, I think it'll be worth it. So let's try to catch the 27th and do as much as we can do. And inshallah, Allah will accept all of it from us. I mean,
I mean, and the last thing we're going to cover is just some sunnah, some etiquettes of the Eid, inshallah, on Eid day. And a lot of these we know, but it helps. And I encourage everybody to go and just do a little quick research, just on the sunnahs of the Eid, just so you can read the hadiths and the support behind it. Because it, especially coming from a lot of the background that we come from, it helps a lot to know the sources of the things that we do. I know I learned things throughout the many years of being Muslim, but you don't know where the source comes from, and then you start questioning, like, wait, is this actually a Muslim thing, or is this some Pakistani Indian culture thing, or something somebody made up? And you'll find a mixture of both. So we just gathered some simple general understandings of sunnah activities that we should be doing on Eid day. And the first one is, of course, is that we should make ghusl. We should, just like for Jumu'ah, we're going to the masjid, right? We don't want to go there, smelling off of like 12-hour shift of work. We go there smelling good, cleaned, purified, ready to make Eid prayer. And along with that, of course, is that the men, especially, we should adorn ourselves. We should, because it's our holiday. We're celebrating. We should make it we shouldn't just go out there with just the same pajama type clothes we wear in our house, just throwing something. No, we should look good, smell good, adorn ourselves. Again, the women adorn themselves within the limits that are established within the Sunnah, the Quran and Sunnah, which is you're not adorning yourself for the the public. You're adorning yourself for your husband, And you could talk to your husbands, and we can have other conversations about how to properly do that. And you could talk to other females, Muslims, how to do that. You're not putting on the bedazzled, shiny overgarment that is bringing all the attention and all the men's eyes to you on the day of Eid, right? That's not what adorn yourself as the woman should be. So just think about that. Remember, we're still Muslim at the end of the day, and the Eid is not an occasion that gives us leeway to dress inappropriately, to intermingle, and all these other different things that usually happen on sometimes on Eids, because everybody's guards are lowered, everybody's happy. Understandable. It's our Eid, it's our festival. We're celebrating. However, we should still be very mindful. Remember, we just left Ramadan. Shaitan is now, the shaitans are now like, they're fully loose. They're not restrained. They're not chained up. And they're going to try their best for us to ruin the past 29, 30 days of fasting, so that we can get closer to Allah, so that we can be reminded of Allah, so we can have taqwa of Allah, so that we say, oh, you know what? On this day, we could forget all that. It's just one day. It's just 2 days. It's just 3 days. However many days you celebrate the Eid. It's just one day. It'll be okay. It's okay if I talk with these sisters and hang out over here. There's no such thing as a men's side and a woman's side. It's the Eid and all these different things. It's okay if I wear this skin tight. Brothers do it too. The brothers do it. The women are not the only ones guilty of this. Brothers do it too. You see brothers come with these shiny silk looking suits that I don't even know how they got it on their bodies, but they do it. And the sisters do it as well. So just be cognizant of that and try on that day to remember of Allah, because we spent 30 days trying our best to remember Allah, and every single action that we do, let's remember it on the Eid.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, before we close out, just I forgot one thing that I wanted to mention about Laylatul Qadr, the 27th at least, or they can apply this to the 27th and the 29th of what we have left, just to try to get them on both days. But as far as some people may not necessarily know, or they get in a situation where, okay, I'm gonna stay up all night, but they don't really know what to do. They don't, I mean, is someone going to be able to just pray rak'ah after rak'ah for 12 hours straight, or for the whole night? I don't know. So there's some things we can talk about as far as game plan, what you can do, some things that you might think that you wouldn't consider would be part of doing ibadah all night, but actually would be. So go ahead and finish yours, and then we can get into some things. Actually,
it's a good talk right there. But yeah, so another sunnah of the Eid is that for this Eid, you actually eat before you go to make Eid prayer. Whereas the other Eid, the Eid al-Adha, you eat after the Eid prayer, and preferably eat from the sacrifice. So make sure that you actually break your fast before you go to Eid prayer. Of course, we have the takbirs that we do. But for Eid al-Fitr, the takbirs begin the night before. So as soon as Maghrib starts, you can start doing as many takbirs as you want, and they actually end at the Eid prayer. Whereas the other Eid, the next Eid, you're doing takbir until, like, I believe it's like Asr, the next 3 days, or I forget exactly what it is, but you do it for an extended period of time after the Eid prayer. Then, and we have a thing, everybody will be going around saying Eid Mubarak, Eid Kareem, which there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. However, there is a sunnah way to congratulate each other on the Eid. Eid Mubarak, Eid Kareem, that's not from the sunnah. That's something that just developed over the years. You could say Taqabbal Allah minna wa minkum, which means may Allah accept it from us and from you, which means may Allah accept our Ramadan from us. That was the whole point. We're celebrating because we're celebrating the fact that we're hoping Allah accepted our Ramadan, our fasting, and all the good deeds that we've done, our staying up at night during the last 10 nights, and the charity, the fit attacks, and even the blessings that go with celebrating the Eid, because it's part of the sunnah. We're asking Allah to accept it from us. So that is the sunnah way of greeting. So if you want to continue to get barakat and get blessings for continuing a sunnah, starting a sunnah, let's try our best to make this response or this greeting when we're congratulating each other part of the norm, instead of our first thing coming off our lips, Ramadan Mubarak or Kareem or Eid Kareem, Eid Mubarak. Let's make this the norm, and inshallah we'll get blessings for that. Another sunnah of the Eid, and I didn't have enough. I didn't have enough time to gather more, but the last one is that you should try your best to take different routes from when you go to the masjid or the musalla to pray, and when you return home. Take a different route. It's very easy for all of us that don't live within walking distance of where we're going to pray Eid prayer at. You're going to drive one direction, take a different direction home. Very simple. If you're walking to where Eid prayer is, walk one way, walk down the block one side, the next way, go around the back way, take the long way home. Very, very easy way to get some blessings for implementing the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's all we got today. Is you got anything else to add on, Mubarak? You want to close this out?
Okay, yeah. Let's just go through a few things real quick. And if anybody has any other suggestions, and I'm pretty sure that you can once you see where I'm going with this, you probably can
I think I already know where you're going, but go ahead.
Hey, listen. I'm just saying, listen. The thing is, Laylatul Qadr, I mean, you want to do ibadah the whole night. And there are quite a few things that you can do. For instance, like as far as the eating is concerned, because that's one thing with Ramadan, you break your fast and people are focused on eating. So that is one thing. So whoever, when you are preparing the food, I mean, that is ibadah. When you're preparing food for the fasting person or to feed the person who's breaking their fast or has been fasting, that is ibadah. So you can count that as, doing some act of worship all night, right? So that's something. So when you look at your schedule, like how am I going to actually fit, spending the whole night or most of the night doing things that I'm trying to get a reward from Allah for? So that's one thing, okay, right? And so you can, of course you can pray. You can pray tarawih in the masjid or with your family or whatever the case may be. So that's going to take, an hour or two or however long you take. You also can spend the time doing some studying that you wanted to catch up on, that you say, man, I should have, I want to memorize this hadith, these hadith, or to study this hadith or seerah or fiqh or something like that. You can spend, schedule a certain amount of your time, an hour or two or whatever, actually studying something that you need to know, memorizing some ayat or a hadith, so you can add that into it. And listen, for those people who are married, yes, it is rewardable to spend time with your husband or your wife. You know what I mean? I mean, y'all can figure it out. But the point is that is actually something you can. I mean, I've never heard anyone go into detail about that. But if you think about the things that Allah is going to reward you for, that is one thing. The hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of the Sahaba actually asked him, "Are we going to be rewarded for being intimate with our wives?" He said, "Yes, because you'll be punished for being intimate with someone who, someone else. So it's a rewardable act. It's something that you will be rewarded for. So I mean, if you're going to be up all night, I mean, you can schedule that in too. I mean, it's just like, so you can take advantage of the whole time, the whole night, with different things that you're hoping for Allah to reward you with. And I mean, it's like, I'm not trying to be just cutting edge or anything, but it's like there are hadith where Rasulullah actually said that the person, there's like the reward for a man who, the wording says that a man who makes his wife take a ghusl, on the day before Jum'ah or on Jum'ah, and then he takes a ghusl himself and he goes or whatever. And so that means, and they were asking the teacher, like, he makes his wife take a good, like, he has to tell, he said, well, you can figure it out. Basically you can figure out what that means. But it's like, so this is something that's like in the sunnah, and is something that is rewardable. It's something that you should do. So I mean, it's like, sometimes people say, man, what can I do with the whole night? I mean, there's plenty of reading Quran and praying and all these things, but there's lots of things that you will get rewarded for. So if you're a person who cooks, okay, you're going to cook for the people who are going to fast the next day. So make that the most elaborate and the best and the greatest meal you're going to make. So you might spend an extra time actually preparing something really, really special, right? That night for suhoor. So So there's things that you can do, that you can engage pretty much the whole night in
Yeah.
doing things that are going to be rewardable. But I mean, I wouldn't, sit down and scroll through Instagram or TikTok or whatever. Just like, I need to stay up. Let me just, try to look at some Islamic,
Right.
reminders or something. I don't know if that's going to get it. But if you actually focus in and saying, what things can I do that Allah's going to reward me for? Do them. Spend the whole night, schedule them in. I'm sure you can figure out some other things, but
Have you heard
that's the thing.
there's a video with Mufti Mank telling a certain story. It was pretty funny, but he said he was at a masjid one time, getting ready to make fajr, and the imam, who's been there for however many years, and he was late, the etiquettes of a masjid is that someone just can't go and lead prayer. Like, you have to get permission from the imam. The imam and say, yeah, okay, go ahead and lead prayer. Mufti Mank, and he's famous, and it's Mufti Mank. So everybody's like, bro, Mufti, can you go lead the prayer? And he's like, I can't just, So anyway, and then they're all getting annoyed because it's like 5-10 minutes late. They're like, what are you going? All the doctors and businessmen are like, I gotta leave. It's time to go to work. Then the imam comes running it, like rushing in, and everybody's kind of annoyed with him, like giving him kind of grief. And he says, listen, I came from one act of worship to another act of worship. And everybody who knew what he was talking about, and then they just quieted down and like, all right, go ahead. so there's that little story.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man. There's, you have to. You can use whatever it is, and that's the amazing thing about Islam. It's like, as long as and that's why we talked about last, show about the knowledge and having the knowledge of Islam and the things that Allah will reward you for, and the things are actually acts of ibadah. What is ibadah and what isn't? What is rewardable by Allah and what isn't? Like, some people can, they might have a bigger celebration on the Rasulullah's birthday, in which they think, and they're getting no reward for it and actually getting a punishment for it, as opposed to their Eid, when Allah is going to give you a huge reward for it and it's legislated, this type of thing. So the thing is, it's like, once have the knowledge, you increase the knowledge of things that Allah will reward you for. And that way you could have a really, really good night on the 27th. I mean, a great, so yeah.
And just to touch on a little bit, like, so for, there's always a case where certain, women might not be able to do ibadah for whatever reason. However, you get credit for those that you assist in their ibadah. So if say you can't pray, you can't read Quran, but like Mark said, you could cook, you can make coffee, you can see someone dozing off and give them a little nudge, like, hey, get up, go do something else. Like,
they can read asleep. Quran though. They can read Quran.
Oh, I mean, like from the Musaf, right? Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
yeah. They can read Quran, so that's no problem.
So there's different things you could do. Again, if you're in a household that you have family members, you can make it a teamwork type of thing. Even, and like in Barks, there's so many different things out there that you could do, and what can help keep you up. Like, for instance, I could probably, if I get an interesting like anime series that I'm watching, like, it'd be pretty easy for me to, like, oh, I'm tired, but I'm gonna watch this next episode. Transition that to something Islamic. Like, you know what? I can't. I've did so many rakats. I can't do it anymore. I got to take a break, or I got to take a break from reciting Holy Quran. Okay, put on a lecture, right? Put on a lecture. There's actually even more, like, if you're doing it with the right niyat, the right intentions. Like, for instance, there's entertainment type Islamic series where you can learn about Islamic history, about the scholars, so that it ties your heart to the scholars and encourages you to learn. There's a series on Ahmed Ibn Hanbal, rahimahullah, that you can turn on and start watching. Or you want to practice your Arabic and listen to these series so that you can understand the Quran. As long as your niyat's there and you have the niyat that I want this to transition and help me be a better worshiper and better servant of Allah, you will get blessings for it. And you'll find that at least one night, staying up for, let's say, Maghrib up here comes around almost 8 o'clock. Sunrise is around 5 o'clock. That's 10 hours. And you're going to be up for about half of that, because you don't usually go to bed till like 10, 11 o'clock. You only have about 5-6 hours to really tough it out. You take into account for dinner. You take into account for breakfast, That's another 2 hours out the chunk. So like it kind of when you put it in those, when you break it up like that, when you have all these different options, and again, you can contact any one of us for different types of things or different ideas. We could probably have a discussion in our room about different things to do. It makes it more realistic to achieve that goal.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think it's. I mean, it's. But the Sahaba, they did it all night. Sometimes just praying rak'ah. Some of the. I'm sure some stories, some of these Sufi stories are fabricated where you know someone they breathed in it Maghrib Allah then exhale who would not that type of stuff, but the Sahaba really they would recite the whole Quran in one night, and
Mm-hmm.
they would pray the whole night, and some of the righteous people from the Salaf as-Salih. But
Mm-hmm.
for us, I mean, we realistically, I mean, I know myself. I know I cannot do it. I mean, I like to pray at night. I like to try to, but I know, like, I mean, I have a limit where then I get tired. I want to sit down, stuff like that. So we all know where our limits are, and to try to maximize it, mix some other things in. That's all we're saying. Mix some other things in that are rewardable by Allah. Um, even if you have, some, give some good you know, what's it called? Some lecture with your family, or something. You're educating or helping some people about it. Teach, even if teach somebody, something. Use that time for teaching or something. You could do that. I mean, we could go on and on about things that you could do, but just to give you the ideas, there's a way to maximize the night and not look at it like, wow, I prayed 20 rak'ah and I'm already tired, and
Mm-hmm.
it's 10:55. Now
Yeah.
what am I going to do? There's plenty of other things. We gave you some ideas. You can add some to it, but the most important thing, innamal a'malu binniyat, that actions are judged by the intentions. Have the right intentions with hoping for a reward from Allah. Try to make sure that it's something that you know for sure that is legislated by Allah, that Allah will give you the reward for. And inshallah, you might have hit the jackpot and gotten 83 years worth of
Mm-hmm.
worship in that one night. It'll be worth it, inshallah.
Inshallah. All right. If there's any questions, we'll hang on for another 30 seconds to see if there's any questions, and then after that, we'll have Mubarak close us out with something. I hope maybe you have something ready. Can we hear some recitation, inshallah?
You know what? I didn't even. I didn't.
Sorry to put you on the
I
spot.
didn't. No, I didn't. I don't know if I have anything today. Inshallah.
Layla the Qadr. That's that the Surat al-Qadr. That we'll just end on that.
Inshallah. Inshallah. Well, let's see if you have any questions. I'm sure someone should have some other some ideas to throw in there about what we could do also. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure somebody had some ideas, but maybe and I know my battery is getting low also, so I probably should let's see.
Well, they're quiet today. There's
Nobody.
nobody. But if we sign off while you still have a question, go ahead and message us via WhatsApp or text, and we're very quick to respond, and we won't be talking to you guys until after Eid. So each future Eid Mubarak or Taqabbal Allah minna wa minkum. May Allah accept it from us, and may Allah accept it from you all.
All right. Okay, I think we'll close it out.
Mm-hmm.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر. ليلة القدر خير من ألف شهر. تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر. سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.